Good evening. You are listening live to the Extreme Movie Show. I'm your host, Ronn, broadcasting to you from the Extreme Studios in the Pinellas Palace, just west of Orlando, Florida. I am 5 minutes late conversing with the RDV, the great one from the great Midwest, because RDV, I apologize for my tardiness as a Boy Scout, Eagle Scout, Cub Scout, whatever you want to call it. I was raised to, if you're not there on time, you're late, 5 minutes early, you're on time, that kind of bullshit expression. But to be honest, I was paying the price for paradise, because tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go back to the 80s, which is what the show's based off of, and we're going to go to what we call the B-level movie. Not a small independent film like a John Carpenter, but no, the stuff that was made for an alternative audience that definitely existed and has its own set of rules. And the 80s definitely had some particular things about it. And RDV, I've seen many movies like this. I don't think I've seen this one. This is on Tubi, 1987. Without saying anything, so it doesn't sound like I'm priming you, why don't you let us know if this is your first time watching something like this and what's your initial take as we dive in?
Well, those who've ever heard of movies like Savage Beach, I'm trying to think or Miami Connection. Ironically, Miami Connection got a higher rating on IMDb than this movie did. It's hilarious. But
this is a Miami Connection type movie.
It is very much. It's very, very low budget. But they're using or I guess not X. At the time, they were Playmates.
Yes.
And so you're going to get a lot of bad acting, a lot of girls taking off their bikini tops and just leaving them. And then there's a lot of, it's kind of like, we did that other movie, Samurai Cop.
Yes.
Where they don't have sex, but they have sex. It's so weird. It's like.
It's not weird. It's 80s.
It's like 80s, like we can't commit. We're gonna do softcore, but we can't commit to the bit. It's like
right, exactly. You understand.
It's frustrating at this point. It's like, because I mean, obviously other movies, Stallone, like you see Assassins, or Stallone would show his butt when his movies. They have a sex scene, but you wouldn't see anything. You would just see the topless, and you hear here they don't even do the sex. They just show you the topless girls, and that's it. I was just like. And then like somewhat, I guess it's supposed to be a sex scene in here too, but it's like I can't even tell what's going on because it's just a weird shot, angles. And it's just like, and it's really, very cheesy. Unfortunately, this movie is only available in Tubi right now. What is it? For free to watch.
Yes.
That is a 360p quality. It is available actually on Blu-ray.
I know.
I saw that. So I was hilarious. Let my butt off. But this movie is bad, but it's hilariously bad. There is 2 scenes in this movie. Actually, 3 scenes in this movie. There's a scene with a Jeep with a bazooka and a guy on a skateboarding and a blow up doll. And then there's a frisbee scene with razor blades, and then there's a mutated snake getting his head blown off by a bazooka.
So
it is, like I said, this is an Andy Sidaris film. Andy Sidaris, who's basically he's been known to do a lot of bad movies, but they're good movies in the sense. He started off with Malibu Express back in 1985, and then he went on to do this one, a Hard Ticket to Hawaii, then Savage Beach, and a few others. But do you know what he's actually more famous for?
Tell me, sir.
7.
No shit. See, that's what we do here, ladies and gentlemen. We do not do research or homework on it. We like to talk live, and it was interesting because we haven't even dove into the movie, and part of it's because this movie is significant in a sense. It's one of the first ones we've covered like this type of movie, because you could say it's a skin flick, and what does that mean? Are there skin flicks anymore today? I don't know, right? So in the 80s, you had adult films in the 70s became available to be shown in theaters and whatnot, and then they migrated with the advent of VHS to a lot of home rentals. That really drove the VCR market more so, and that was its own thing, a technology war in the late 70s, early 80s. But the thing with films is, in Hollywood, and at least where a lot of porn was produced here in the United States, you would have where they basically make it like a movie, 80, 90 minutes, and it would be on a videotape, and you'd rent it out, whatever. At least that's what I've heard, right?
Yeah.
So the point is there was an alternative market for like R-rated movies that could only be shown, or usually only shown like on HBO late at night.
Skinemax.
So a lot of people would, Skinemax is the name for it, but they would do like a soft kind of light porn style, and that became its own like art form because you could make it and tailor it like romance novels for women. I'd mentioned before here on the chat that a long-standing stat was that when people used to actually read and go to bookstores, I think 2 out of every 3 books was by women, and of those, 75% were a romance novel, to show you how popular they are. And I think it's when we were talking about Hallmark films and how there's a how the Hallmark Channel basically has a 10 by 10 by 10 matrix so they can just pump out movies, and it was an interesting thing because honestly, if you take the joking part out of it, that is the business model. Here for Hard Ticket to Hawaii, this guy knows it's a B-level film, but what is he doing? He's tapping into a bit of an 80s theme here, which we'll get into. And it works for what it is. Is it supposed to be a great film? No. Is it supposed to be somewhat passable, entertaining, minimally? Yes. And honestly, Miami Connection that we covered here, where they shot it locally at some scenes at UCF and Winter Park and Waikiki Kim Studio and all that, it's one of those kind of films. Although I think that's probably a better film than this one. This one actually looks pretty good. And it's not because of all the Playboy playmates in it. I actually think they're the worst part about it in terms of their acting, but it's really a collection. So let's just start off by talking about what this movie is about for those who haven't heard. This is a movie that in the 80s, and Canada had this too, where you had your like sexy teen comedy kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of nudity, a lot of people not afraid to show their body, both men and women. With men, you get a lot of good-looking guys with their shirts off, making dumb, sexist kind of jokes. And it's a joke of itself, right?
The official synopsis: in Hawaii, an undercover DEA agent and her civilian friends stumble upon a drug trafficking operation and have to enlist the help of their colleagues / friends to go after the vicious drug kingpin. Ron Mars, Dona Speir, Hope Marie Carlton are the three main characters in there. The 2 girls on there on the cover there, and that's Ron Mars, or not Ron Mars, but Ron Moss. Ron Mars is
Funky man meat is the term we use.
Yeah, yes, and
he's a good-looking guy.
And the guy comes off. If you ever watched Baywatch, there's this one guy who's hanging out with CJ, who's dating her, Pamela Anderson's character. His name's Matt, and he was just he's a pretty boy.
He's not like much a silver gen Michael Vincent.
Yeah,
right.
Like, not much up there, and the lines he on there is like it was just disgusting. It's just like he's like, I want to suck the polish off your toes. I'm like, who says that to a girl and it gets her all hot and bothered? And like it was like there are so bad lines in here.
There's some great lines in there. What are you talking about, sir?
Lines you would never hear in any other things. It's like. The one his brother is like, my first wife used to mow the lawn stark naked, and like, what do your neighbors say? They say I married her for money. Did you? it was like, it's so stupid.
So this movie has it starts off with beautiful people making out and a lot of boobs on a boat, but what's really happening is you have the two ladies. They're plane runners, like front island hoppers, right? And so what's happening is they're transporting a couple that actually the girl in the couple is pretty hot too. They're transporting a couple that are going to camp overnight and pick them up, but also because there's a mix-up in the loading facility because it's just a signal of a snake, right? And the problem is when you transport animals across certain lines, government gets involved in all this regulatory nonsense. But the point is it's the old switcheroo, just like slipping somebody a Mickey, right? We almost don't really have that in this movie, but we have the switcheroo. We have more than one switcheroo. And so what happens is there was a snake, and it looks like it's an albino anaconda that had a bunch of pesticides, and so it was kind of weird. And unknowingly to them, it somehow manages to get loose, and is like, it's not really a plot to it. It's just sort of the same thing. But let's be honest. The only reason why we watch this movie is because I said we got to do some 80s cheese and really respect it for what it is. Because if you watch the trailer, there's a scene where people are like tossing the frisbee on the beach, and it's like they got razor blades on it. So it's kind of like a dumbed down scene from Mad Max or whatever. I mean, it's just really dumb, absurd, and they know it, and they're not making a big deal about it. That's why.
The lines that killed me in this is when he's making love to Donna. Rowdy is, making Donna, and she's like, so tell me, what do you feel? One man's dream is another man's lunch. She's like, you son of a bitch. The other one, like, because the snake comes out of her like her toilet, and he's like, just when you thought it was safe to take a pee. It's so stupid lines in here. Like it feels like you took like the Duke Nukem game, kind of like cheesy lines or horrible, and just put them into the movie. And like, obviously, this is from the very beginning, you know what you're getting into. You don't have to look at the cover. You just watch the opening credits. They're stapling the cast names and all onto these crates, and they're moving them, shipping around.
Right.
And it is. I'm like, oh, it's so low budget, but I love that opening shot.
It's nice, right?
And I'm watching this guy, this idiot on the forklift. I'm thinking, like, this guy should have been fired a long time ago. Like, he's moving crates and he accidentally gets the fork on the forklift stuck on the crate where the snake is, and he pulls the bands off. And I'm thinking, like, oh, because I used to work with guys like these.
Yep.
And I'm thinking, like,
dums in warehouses. No offense.
Yes.
I work with them too.
Like I said, this is a hilariously bad movie. But like I said, if you've never seen Malibu Express, I kind of want to go back and watch that too, because they're all loosely connected to each other. And you're getting Playboy playmates or former Playboy playmates doing the acting. So if you're expecting high quality acting, you're not going to get that here. It's like the equivalent of watching Red Shoe Diaries back in HBO back in the day, or any of those other movies. As I said, what's cool about this is the action scenes in here too. If you're a guy, there's a lot of topless girls that are good looking, no plastic.
That is true.
Yeah.
So that's the thing in the 80s. People were not afraid to show their body, men or women, and you definitely get it here.
And
the boob count is probably 100 plus.
Yeah, and the henchmen are stupid. I mean, stupid looking, and then how they deliver the drugs, the diamond, or drugs, diamonds.
This is kind of cool. This is pre-drone. This is a radio control helicopter. Okay. But here's the thing. You know what that is, right? The Magnum PI.
Yeah, yes.
Just like the girl sitting around with the guy talking to him on the phone that's coming in. That's Charlie's Angels. This guy's blatantly ripping off everything. The A-Team scene before they have the fight on the beach.
Andy Sidaris he directed a few episodes of the different shows back in the day. Mm-hmm. And I believe his wife also was involved.
She was involved in this one. She was a producer, I believe.
Yeah, yes. But he did stuff like Nancy Drew the Hardy Brothers show. He did a couple episodes of that. Show. Yeah, so it's like this is the guy who did TV show stuff and decided to transfer it into movies, and he figured, like, you know what? This is the 80s. What do guys like? Beer, babes, and guns. Yeah. Why not put it into a movie? And obviously, this probably wasn't a big seller. It's a very low budget. But I learned about this about Dona Speir
to make this money back, though.
Dona Speir credits Andy Sidaris for getting her sober because she was an alcoholic. And she's filming this movie for after this movie where she was basically drunk, and she almost got to the point where she was basically, gonna go into rehab and all this stuff. She basically cleaned herself out. I think what it was is she was a former playmate and basically had nothing else going on.
I mentioned Playboy for a minute because it's relevant. Because you have several of them here that are very recent. So back, I think it was in the 50s, going to the 60s, Hugh Hefner ended up doing this magazine, and he made it to be an upscale thing to signify, again, in the post-war, America. So what are men of all age interested in? They're interested in classy women. So yes, you would have that kind of stuff in there, but and I'm not going to say it, I'm not defending it like I've read all of them, but back then the emphasis was on writing and presenting women nude, but not in a hardcore manner, let's say, right? Yeah. And so it was elite company for you to be in a position where you could actually be on there, and being on the cover, you basically made a crap ton of money. Now, there's other sides to it where I'm not going to, say that there's not. Like that kind of stuff doesn't exist today the way social media is. But back then, it was a badge of honor if you had a chance to do it.
Yeah, like this movie, I'd give it 3 out of 5, just because it's just such bad dialogue. But it's something that's hilarious is like it's at the frisbee scene.
It's tremendous.
He has to get into this, and this girl. They've been watching this girl on this beach where the criminals are hanging out, and she plays frisbee all the time and stuff. So he goes in, he runs up there, he lands on his little glider, gets there, goes, and then he goes to play frisbee with her, and they start talking to each other, and then he run up to this guard who's like, Hey, you got to leave the island. He's like, cool, bro. We're just throwing, bro. It was, oh, you're a thrower? So he takes off his gun, puts it on the ground, and they're throwing the frisbee back and forth. He's like, and before they do that, he's like, Colleen, you got to go. It's like, okay. He's like, hey, Colleen, you got a nice ass. She's like, so do you, Pilgrim. I was just like, who's writing these dialogue? Like, I want to know who's like.
He did.
I know Andy Sidaris wrote and directed this. It's like, it is just like someone who it's like having
It's like a 10-year-old boy's idea of what James Bond's like without seeing the movies, right?
They even quote this. He's like, dude, he's like, it's like live and let die. Yeah, bros, no, it's gnarly. Like they name drop stuff. It's such a hilarious film, but it's like I said, a lot of nudity in this. So don't, if you're squeamish about nudity, it's not a female nudity. I don't think there's no guy nudity. There's not, like I don't think there's even an ass shot, is there, from a guy?
I don't recall an ass shot, and I have no problem with that. I think guys should show their bodies in film more, and they don't.
Sure,
You know,
like
and
I said,
they don't.
If you're gonna have the beefcake. If you're gonna have both. You know, equal opportunity. But like I said, this is a bad movie if you're just like But like if you're watching it for friends though, it's hilarious. This is the movie you would put on and you would just hang out with some friends.
Yeah, you're playing poker, you want to put something on. It's something background, that's fine.
Yeah.
But on another level, it does capture a little of the essence of the 80s, because the one positive aspect of this movie, seriously, is we talked about how great it is when people don't use CGI and they film the locations.
Yes.
And we mentioned that with To Catch the Thief recently, right? This one, I don't know, but it appears to have been completely shot in Hawaii. At least it looks like that to me. Now, I won't confirm that really right now, but I'll sit there and say they give you plenty of outside shots too. And you know what? That's great, because you don't have a big
lot of scenery
tear down, right? And so, yeah, it's nice because it's the beach. It's great. It elevates stuff. You do have good looking people. They're not overly makeup, or they don't have a gazillion dollars put on the wardrobe. It doesn't look fake. The stuff they're wearing, or the colors and all that, that's absolute primo 80s stuff. Guys running around with guns, and they have their shirt off, but they're wearing their slacks right up to, around their belly button. That was the thing. The Hawaiian styles and all that too. Even the bikinis the girls wear. If you would ever saw the wet t-shirt contest, and here in Florida, there's a ton of bikini type competitions. That was a big deal. There's tours and circuits with Hawaiian Tropic and such here too. Those are exactly the kind of styles. Now they're just different. So I have a hard time believing that people would be offended by this kind of movie. But here's the thing: I tried watching The Fall Guy with Ryan Gosling, who I still think has something to him. I haven't seen it come out in the movie yet, and I'm like, that movie was just painful to watch. And I wanted to like it because I thought, okay, dopey comedy, it kind of fits. Everyone's not taking it too seriously, but it was overproduced. And that's a part of it. The more produced something is, the more serious you have to take it. Here, when the girls get attacked, what do? They go canon 80s ninja style, because they've got nunchucks in there, and she's got the throwing star she hits the dude with, one of the henchmen. And you know what? The martial arts in here are horrible, but they include kind of some of that in here, which is just sort of silly. But that was an 80s thing. It was a big deal. How can you have an 80s movie with bad guys and not have at least a hand-to-hand fight with like some sort of martial arts, right?
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, this is a very bad movie, but like I said, it is just like what you expect from a low budget thing. They're not going to be the best entertaining movies, but this is a movie though you may have came across back in 1987. Maybe you saw it, and then you Robbie, a Gen Xer, like because you saw a lot of these movies back in the day, like you had the Miami Connection. So I imagine like this could be like, okay, you see a clip on YouTube, like what the hell is it? Oh my gosh, I recognize this movie. What is the name of the movie? And you're like, yes, this is that bad film that everybody was talking about.
One thing I did kind of pop hard in this movie was the girl's got like the really small. Well, the little girl's got the really small 22, and then she's shooting at the main bad guy as they're getting into the car when they tried stealing the diamonds back.
In the face.
And he gets them. But here's the beauty of it. Yes, it's low budget and all that, but he carries it through the whole movie where he has the bloody badge. And I'm like, that's pretty good, because this is probably shot over like a 1 month period. So the continuity was there. And you know what happens at the end? He gets his just desserts, because in the ensuing final battle, he gets taken out. No, not to the thing sticking out of his back, but the white fucking albino snake that's dangerous and mutated finally puts the death blow on him. It's great stuff. I love it. Because it's more about the snake than the girl, really.
You know why? Because they had it was eating cancer-ridden rats, so mutated the snake.
You know what? White snake, I'm going to state the obvious, but a lot of people don't get it. The euphemism of what it represents, sexually speaking. I mean, that's kind of an in-joke. The band White Snake, obviously, it probably brings that to attention. They were a blues rock band that got super popular in the 80s. David Coverdale, who used to front Deep Purple, was the singer at the time. But yeah, they take the what is that? Is that a rocket launcher or 4-barrel or something like that? And they blow the snake up,
Yeah,
and everybody's sweating because you have to sweat in the 80s. You got to have the full body sweat going. If you don't, you weren't really working hard enough.
yeah. I was trying to find it. They had a whole review on this thing. I was laughing my ass off because it was like, I couldn't believe that somebody actually spent their time to go and type a blog about this.
Well, why not? That's what we do.
We don't want it's a blog though, but I mean like they went in depth. They're like the history of Andy Sidaris. I was just like, why? But like I said, this is a very, very crappy movie with exceptional just over the top acting, overacting, and just bad acting in general. This is a movie you would probably just watch it once and that's it. But I mean, like, it's great though. Those three scenes in here. Like I said, the scene with the Jeep, and then the guy on a skateboard, and then you have the frisbee scene, and then the snake at the end. Like those to me are like the big standout, the big budget ones they did, because I was like, there ain't much else, that's kind of like over the top expensive. Like I said, the guy was sampling. He said from about different shows, and why not? But you know what though? It's like watching a porno movie, without porn. That's what it felt like though, because that's how bad like the acting was in this. I was like, okay, we get topless nudity. That's it. Like, I'm like, I feel literally it felt like I was watching a porno movie. Like it was just like how much nudity is in this, but there was like no sex. I was like, I feel like I just got ripped off.
Well, this is at the point in the 80s where we would kind of joke about like Michael Myers or Freddy or Jason or any of these things, and we didn't take the horror part of it seriously anymore because they dumbed it down. It wasn't scary anymore. It wasn't new. It was camp. It's just what's a different creative way they can do stuff.
Yeah.
So I'd mentioned before that there's no such thing as horror comedy, because if something's funny, it's not scary, therefore it can't be horror. And this movie is meant to be campy. It's meant to be B-level. It serves its place where, again, small audience, you can do it. But even in this, going back to the 70s, you had sub types of movies, whether it's blaxploitation, which are pretty interesting. A lot of them are low budget types. You had they would like sometimes have a message that maybe a mainstream movie wouldn't, because there's too many producers and people involved. But in a movie like this, you can pretty much do what you want. Nobody's going to care, especially if you got independent financing. You just need to distribute it, right?
Right.
So if Netflix is going to give you a contract, they're going to, want to have editing control and all that too. And it's much like you had mentioned about a recent movie called Kraven the Hunter I knew nothing about. So I could watch it free of any attachments to whether or not they were being faithful to the original source material, and you explained to me how they totally did a 180 on it, and I could understand to a certain segment why that would be upsetting. Here, like I say, this is a movie that I hate to say that it would only exist in the 80s, because we definitely would have some stuff like this in the 90s, but they were tamed down. And even though this is tame and everybody's in on the joke in the movie, and it is what it's supposed to be, it's just kind of dumb fun. Why aren't there more movies like this, or occasionally one or two that you can think of now, right? Yeah. I will tell you that, and this is not to make light of her personal situation that just came up here too, but I was thinking, the one person female-wise recently that I think that's in on the joke herself, and that's her shtick. We've talked about her a little bit before, and of course she was in Bad Grandpa, and that's Aubrey Plaza, right? She reminds me of like an 80s girl that's kind of in on the joke or whatever, that's not afraid of goofing up, being sexy or goofy, and not, being offended by it or anything. And we don't have a lot of these movies. Bad Grandpa was like an outlier as far as her performance in it and all that. Where's the camping films? There's not. There's stupid, dumb jokes that have been recycled over and over again. Nothing new. At least here somebody had their own vision to do it, shot it in Hawaii, and had beautiful people in it doing stupid ass things.
So
right?
So I found that article. They're talking about. So the Sidaris, it says, like, Sidaris casted beautiful women as leads. The two basically were popular. Basically, these two came around. Dona Speir came back for the next 3 or 4. She's a 1984 Playboy Playmate of the Month, and she basically had done some small parts of TV shows, basically with as Matt Houston, Knight Rider, and the new Mike Hammer. So she's been
new Mike Hammer, yeah.
And apparently she said in 2019 autobiography that she was battling alcoholism and just drugs, and then this movie basically getting this lead explains that basically she would party nightly and then shoot resulting multiple takes because she'd be heavily editing because she'd be drunk at the time. But apparently they're saying that like after this movie she took her acting more seriously and it improved apparently as it went on.
Right.
So getting then you had the Playboy Playmate of the Month from July 1985. That was with Marie Carlton. She's in here too. She ended in with Savage Beach, and then basically I guess Ron Moss, Rowdy Abilene, would become the most recognizable mainstream star of the bunch. He scored the part of Rage Forrester in 1970's new soap opera Bold and Beautiful.
The dude's a good-looking guy. I mean, you look at him, and he's got A-level look. No joke.
And he played on that. He was basically Rich Forrester on Bold and the Beautiful from 1987 all the way to 2012. And I guess then Harold Diamond, who played Jay in this, was considered a pioneer in Florida's kickboxing scene. You know, he did stunt work on choreography on Rambo 3, Picasso Trigger, and 2016 Kickboxer Vengeance. So so you actually got a lot of people in here who actually started doing some stuff afterwards. I remember that Dona Speir actually came forward and said that during the whole Cosby thing, she resurfaced and said that Cosby
gave her a hot Cosby.
Pretty much when she was a teenager and stuff.
Yeah.
Like I said, this movie was like just a lot. It was so 80s. The Handycam, the Sony Handycam video camera. She has a bright yellow one.
Polaroid.
Oh my gosh, it's hilarious.
No cell phones.
And then you had the one girl in here who basically was doing like the nunchuck dance and stuff. Like I have no idea what's going on here, but
or the cross dresser who was the evil mole at the bar.
So his wife's earlier jobs was producer of Larson's Harley Boys, Nancy Drew Mysteries.
Great TV show from the 70s. And hunky, really cute.
Yeah, she had this is like late Glen A. Larson, who created and many produced these escapist shows, including The Fall Guy, Magnum P.I., Knight Rider. You know, so when Glen Larson production is listed under the thank yous in The Hard Ticket to Hawaii. You look at the credits; it's actually listed there. So a lot of cool stuff in here. A lot of helicopter, a lot of guns. The fake bazooka just being used is like, he's like, bro, you got a bazooka? It's like it's the only gun I can't miss with. it's like and like when it shoots it goes. It doesn't go straight. It's like spins and like
it's a tracer round.
Yeah, it's a heat seeker. It's just a stupid movie with hot babes. There's even a dude dresses up as a girl, posing as a girl and the bad guys to spy on them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and just it's just
honestly, let's be straight. It's a one-off.
It's a one-off 80s, film.
Yeah.
I do want to I want to follow up though eventually one of these days with Savage Beach. I want to continue this because I want to see if her acting does get better.
Of course you do.
Yes, her acting.
And there's no boob anymore. I lament that because it's like I don't understand why people are afraid of their bodies, especially now when people, run a cycle, gain 10, 20 pounds, they get dehydrated first scene and all that, and they have their chicken rice broccoli expert on there and having them do push-ups on a Bosu ball and tell them that's how they got jacked and ripped, which is all bullshit, right? In the 80s, again, people celebrated the body. If you had your shirt off and you're feeling good about yourself, okay. If you have the greatest physique, it really didn't matter. And here you definitely see a lot of what I would call natural-looking women. If that matters to you, some people just think it's before the implants really took over, if you know what I'm saying. So it's just one of those movies lost in time that if it wasn't a popular cult film because of how it is, like Miami Connection, we did some smaller films. We did William Shatner. We did Impulse, where he's the gigolo serial killer, and that's not bad for a low budget film.
So this website, movieanddrinks.com, the guy continues on. It's very, very, very best 80s B movie escapism, explosions, gunfights, rocket launchers, musker men, topless beautiful women, remote control choppers, killer frisbees, self-destructing sandwiches, eventual Tarzan Wolf Larson as Taryn's boyfriend in here, cross-dressers, killers on skateboards with blow-up dolls, sumo wrestlers, sportcasters hanging at the Allen restaurant for no reason. Radioactive pythons exploding out of toilets, and the most inventive opening credit sequence I've seen since Malibu Express. Like I said, this is a great movie. It's not like, I don't say it's, when I say great, I mean great in a sense. It's so horribly bad. It's done well. I love it. But yeah, it does move a little slow. But I mean, it's, like I said, this is aimed towards guys. So if you're a woman, yeah, you're not gonna really like it as much. No, it's scantily clad women, and guns and a lot of bad acting.
Where's the cheese today?
I
Where's
know.
the filler? Where's
This
the
is like
popcorn?
Miami Vice without.
Miami
Tom
Vice is
Johnson.
100 times better
Yeah.
than this. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
but I mean, like, it's basically they took like what Don Johnson, like, there's another movie we watched, where the guys were basically a drug lord who was smuggling stuff in, and they had to get across onto the beach because there were sharks. Remember?
Yep.
Yeah, and like it's just, yeah. This is a bubblegum flick. Well, I guess it's Playboy Playmates doing bad acting, showing a lot of topless nudity. The guys are kind of like dorky, but not dorky, but I mean, as you can see, they're the dumb heartthrobs, the beefcakes.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's
not a mean bone in their body.
Yes, a lot of one-liners, a lot of stupid henchmen, and yeah, it's, take what it is. It is a bubblegum flick.
Yeah, Ronn just mentioned that how it would be a moneymaker. Yeah, and again, it's midnight movie. It's a one-off. Miami Connection, in retrospect, it's probably more entertaining.
It was, and actually, the Miami Connection got a higher rating. I got a 5.7, where this got a 5 on IMDb.
Mr. No Legs, which has legitimately the assassin in there, is the quadriplegic guy who's like a black belt, and he's choking people out in the pool.
And the flipper.
Yeah, now that's it's interesting, right? I mean, it's that somebody would do that and make a movie, and I respect them for doing it, even if it's a bit of a schlock kind of film.
It's
I mean,
free, like I said, this is free to watch on Tubi.
Yeah,
and if you're so moved to buy it, you can get it on Blu-ray.
Yeah,
we store. Like, the sound quality was really done well on Tubi. Like I say, I don't care for a 360, p, movies quality.
Yep. Right.
It's because it's great if you don't maximize the screen, you can see everything. But I like having the maximized screen. I have a 27-inch monitor, so I want to watch it in HD. So
I want to let everybody know as we finish up here that with our schedules and all that too, I'll be flying solo, I believe, Sunday night. The poll that is up there is,
I think you're doing Penguin.
Well, I haven't looked at the results yet, but I put on there 3 different groups of TV shows. There are the Penguin, Twin Peaks, and Hysteria, which is
Twin Peaks. Actually, Twin Peaks is winning.
Twin Peaks is ahead. So the reason why I want to put those on is because for me personally, I'll just say this: I think Penguin was the best TV show that I saw last year. I'm not saying I've seen a lot of TV shows; it's fantastic. Twin Peaks is the only TV show that here on Extreme Movie Show we've reviewed every single episode years ago.
Did you see the prequel movie?
We did it all. All the movies. So we would even consider doing it again. That was Pixel and I's favorite watch, really, I think. And then the other one on there, Hysteria, I thought was a movie, a TV show on Netflix, I think it is, that has Bruce Campbell in it that isn't really scary. It's kind of like a different kind of Stranger Things, but it was a bit tongue-in-cheek, and I thought it did a good job of catching the 80s satanic panic in a way that's where it's a bunch of like high schoolers are trying to form a band, and there's talk about some evil going on in town. So they're like, you know what? Let's lean into this because we might start getting noticed. So they kind of get it right there a little bit. So it's not bad, and the production values are pretty well too. So I thought it'd be an interesting.
I was just shocked you threw Twin Peaks on because what are you going to review? You already reviewed everything. That's on the channel.
Well, I wanted to reintroduce it because if people are listening to what we were talking about tonight, the 80s stuff, and I always say we're 80s based, we do have a pretty interesting group of people from different backgrounds and countries. I wanted to let them know that that's still a really popular show, and I still hear about how it's influenced stuff, much in the same way that Miami Vice, the television show with Michael Mann, and we've reviewed Thief and Heat and a few other movies here, that was so influential even to this day with a lot of TV shows, that if that's something that we start reviewing here soon, season 1, I'm trying to drum up some interest in people, kind of priming them for this 80s feel, because there is a feel to it, and if you didn't live it, you don't get it. And I can understand somebody young that wouldn't have seen a movie like this and go, this is stupid, it's a bunch of bimbos running around with their tits hanging out. Yeah, that's kind of the point, but it's not. There's a vibe to it, and it's what we've talked about here with stuff. The vibe's different in the 90s. The vibe's different every decade, it seems. And certainly right now, it's hard to pick out a vibe that is prevalent in the movie community today, other than the acknowledgement from Netflix that we don't want to do ratings. We want to just count minutes and say that that's something, so we can say million when it's nothing. And also that they're writing for the second screen.
The lead in here, played Dona Speir. She was actually in Dragnet.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Was she the Virgin Connie Swale?
She was Bait Mate, whatever that is.
Okay, that's a fun one too. That's a good movie. Yeah, that's a nice comedy with Tom Hanks. It's tolerable with him in it. Yeah. Any other final thoughts, sir?
Just so I think we should probably start doing some more of these. I think they get worse. And actually, no. There's a reason why she was also in this movie, because she was also in Knight Rider. She was in an episode of that too. So, I heard that Picasso Trigger is supposed to be better, but that's got a 4.5. I'm kind of like it is 4.4 as she goes on. Then she was in a movie called Guns in 1990, Do or Die in 91. Wow. I think her next big thing that she was actually involved in was Silk Stockings.
Oh, that's some great late night 90s stuff there too.
Yeah, she was a woman in a spa, uncredited.
Okay. That's awesome.
Like I said, I'm looking forward to doing some more of these B-rated movies. Savage Beach, obviously. I know they're gonna be bad. There's a lot of this. I'm trying
Women in Prison.
Tracy Lord was in a bunch of these movies too, and Gene Simmons' wife was in here too. Did a lot of movies. Remember?
Yes.
The B movies. So I'm down for more B movies. Like I said, like I expect these to be bad, but I just want to see how bad they are.
Chuck Norris even did that Slaughter in San Francisco where he's the bad guy.
Yes,
he's in it for all of like 5
minutes. He's the mobster. I love it. He's got the cigar. He's like, we gotta kill him now. He's in the car.
Well, I want to thank everybody for showing up and watching here too. This is one that we just kind of came across and we're like, you know what, this fits, let's do it. So again, we sometimes don't necessarily say we're going to schedule this month. We just kind of go with themes and we roll with it too. So this is definitely lighthearted fun.
Marani's bringing up Miami Vice. That is on our to-do list. We're just waiting for our departed. Well, he's not dead, but I mean, but he hasn't been in the channel for a while.
Dearly departed.
Dearly
the young
departed.
20 Pixel.
Yeah, waiting for him to come back, see if he wants to join us for that or not. If not, otherwise we'll start doing that soon. Just waiting to see a word run back at him. Yeah, looking forward to doing a lot of 80s more stuff. There's a lot of bad 80s movies. There's a lot of just slumber parties, massacres we haven't done.
Absolutely, I know.
I know.
I know this. Come on.
So, the cheesecake will be flying.
Yeah, and Pixel and I, if he doesn't join in on the Miami Vice season 1, which I believe is also on Tubi. We'll pick out a different show to do it, so we may put a poll up on that here in a week or two about the next one. We've talked about X-Files, Millennium, some other stuff too, so just all depends on what we want to get our teeth into. And I imagine later this year we'll continue with Columbo as well.
My device is only available through Fandango and through Amazon Prime. You got to pay for it. Yeah,
there you go, ladies and gentlemen.
Last year was on Tubi when I wanted to do it, but you guys are busy with the other show, Prisoner, I think it was, or Mission.
Miami Vice is a vibe, and it's awesome. So
it is great, and guest stars and everything. It's great. So,
good night now.
Yeah, that's what I say for those who are watching this on replay. We do have another episode of Friday. What's it called?
Forever Night.
Forever Night. Okay, I was gonna say Fright Night. They'll be dropping it on weeklies on Fridays at around 7 p.m. Eastern.
That would be Mr. Dobson, I think it is. Kevin, is it? Yeah. So appreciate all that.
Kevin Dobson, Ken or Kevin. But I appreciate all the feedback on that. That episode blew up. That's at 250, something like that.
Great episode. It really is. It's great TV.
And so I think you guys might have to return and start doing some more seasons.
There's some sex appeal in Forever Night. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's all about that too.
All right, guys.
Good night, everybody.
You guys know the drill. Leave a comment down below. Let us know what you thought of this review, and what you thought if you watched this movie, what you thought of it. And say, hey, if you're watching right now and you haven't watched the movie, but it sounds interesting, go watch it and then come back. Let us know what you think of it. Because I'm interested to see feedback on this, because we review this for ourselves, but I was also interested to see what the audience thinks of this movie, if you've seen it or not, and what would you recommend based off this movie, you know, for another movie. That being said, like, leave a comment, subscribe. Later, guys.